All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight. My name's Dustin Harder. I am so excited that you guys could tune in. This is the live cooking demo with the James Beard nominated chefs, Kate Jacoby and Rich Landau. Round of applause from your living rooms, your kitchens, wherever you are. Thank you for being here tonight. As you know, they are the masterminds behind the popular restaurants Vedge and V Street in Philadelphia, and also Fancy Radish in Washington, D.C. And I'm Dustin Harder, like I said. I'll be your host tonight. You may know me from my series, The Vegan Roadie. Traveled around the country. It's like the plant-based version of diners, drive-ins, and dives. If you haven't watched it yet, please do tune into veganroadie.com. You can watch it there or also on the Plant Based Network. I've also written a couple books, Simply Vegan Cookbook, and my most recent is The Epic Vegan Cookbook. And a couple quick things before we've got started. Mainly, this is a demo. So we are going to do a question and answer after. So feel free to write little questions down as we go along, and then you can ask them to me in the chat session over here. And then we'll sort of filter through them as we go along and ask some questions for as much time as we have, okay? Is everyone ready to get started with Kate and Rich? Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna bring them in. Guys, let's welcome Kate Jacoby and Rich Landau.
Hey,
All right, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. How are you guys holding up?
We're hanging in there, man. What else can we do?
Take it a day at a time, like everyone, I suppose. How are you guys filling the hours? Are your creative juices flowing? Have you gotten a new perspective on cooking, or are you just doing a lot of laundry?
Oh, I mean, we've got a whole new perspective on life.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
It's you know, we were just going so strong and you know, so much energy, and then all of a sudden, you know, you slam on the brakes, and you know, it really makes a lot of thinking time happen. So we've been good. We're doing a ton of cooking at home. We're baking bread. We're doing all sorts of great things. We're working on a new cookbook, and most of all, we're just gearing up for when that day comes when we can start cooking again for everybody, because we really miss doing it.
Yeah, everyone misses you. You guys, I call them the mayors of Philadelphia, basically, the vegan mayors of Philadelphia. And I know everyone is missing you guys so much. And if you are missing them like I am, by all means, there's these two cookbooks. There's also the Horizons cookbook. But you guys, the Vegan cookbook, the Veg cookbook, can't go wrong with these. You're working on a new one, which is really exciting. Can you tell us anything about the new one? Or is it all like secret hush hush from the beginning stages?
No, we can throw in a few little you know, little hints here. I mean, we're really inspired right now by the whole dirt list idea. We're coming back to where it all started, to like the dirt list, the farm vegetables, and eating, you know, through the seasons. The theme is kind of like finding your farm. Whether you live on a farm, maybe you have a window box in a city, maybe your farm is at the local Acme. I mean, wherever your farm is, falling in love with the vegetables there and eating them at their peak, and learning how to prepare them in all the right ways. So getting back to the garden, you know, that's
yeah. When we started Veg, the whole idea was to put forth this new concept of a restaurant. You know, don't call it a vegan restaurant, don't call it a vegetarian restaurant. It was a vegetable restaurant.
Yes.
And that was what inspired us then. And it's really at this exact moment what's driving us again. Like the relationships that we've built with our local farms, whether they're in the city or just outside or in Lancaster County, it's been amazing, like what we've been able to do. So I think just kind of reconnecting with farmers and you know, focusing on the simplest things that we can do when the produce is at its very best. That's really what's been driving us.
Yeah, that's at the core.
I love that. That'll be exciting. I can't wait for that cookbook to come out. You guys are so great with your cookbooks and everything that you do. And the best part, the coolest part for me when I do visit Veg or V Street or Fancy Radish is that it's so vegetable forward. Everything is just vegetable forward. You know, I do it all in everything that I do. I incorporate the whole food plant-based and the vegan food and the products and all that just for the simpleness and the ease of it, because that's what I've been doing to offer to people. But you guys have these great things that you offer in a restaurant establishment that people can come and enjoy in a way that they can't do it anywhere else, you know?
That's the thing, it takes all kinds of, you know, like under that plant-based umbrella, there's so much to do. You can do comfort foods, you can do convenience foods, you can do elaborate fine dining things. It's just as versatile as any other type of cooking. It's really just how much energy do you want to put in it, sometimes how much money and time you can put into it.
Sure.
All the time in the world. So, you know, as long as you do the dishes, you can keep up with it.
Well, it's
Yeah.
amazing. You guys sent me the recipe for tonight, and I was like, I'm just blown away at how easy and approachable it is. I was just kind of like, well, great, fantastic. I'm going to do this tomorrow. But
Yeah.
it seems like this beautiful plate. Like, I was just like, I was reading it and I was like, oh, well, this isn't what I expected a beautiful dish. But I was, in terms of the procedure, I was like, oh, there's just a few steps and I'm done. Well, that's easy enough, you know?
Well,
And we're going to get into that.
technique involved.
What's that?
There's a little bit of technique involved, but it's a great sauce. You know, the whole focus of this one is a sauce, which you can use in so many different ways. But we can also call this like almost like the kickoff for this new cookbook, because it's all about like the vegetables and eating from the garden. And you know, to just expand on the earlier point, we fell in love with this process of getting vegetables right from the garden and taking them right into your kitchen and cooking them. It's this beautiful giving process from your garden, and it's like romantic and poetic almost to pick vegetables and take them into your kitchen, and yet you can't do that with meat. That's
Sure.
It's like a horrific, barbaric
The exact
process.
opposite. It's literally the exact opposite.
There's nothing beautiful about it. I mean,
No.
even people who really do eat a lot of meat will never ever tell you that it's anything. It's not pretty,
Right.
Animals. That's a whole other rabbit hole.
Sure.
And even, like, listen, we enjoy, Beyond Bacon cheeseburgers just as much as the next person.
Sure.
But that's not something you can go out and pick. So this is all about what you can gather and the beauty of it and taking it right to your kitchen. Getting back to the beauty.
Yeah, I love that you say that. When we were filming season 3 of the Vegan Roadie in Italy, the coolest thing about it was when you said, and you guys travel all the time, so I'm sure you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But when you said vegan in Italy, they weren't like, oh, wait, what? They were like, oh, sure, I'm just going to go grab these vegetables from my backyard, and here's this plate of the most amazing food you'll ever have. Like, just not even thinking about it. Just like, yeah, here you go. And I was like, oh, great. Okay, then we're done here. And that to me ties right in with that sort of romantic feeling of going right from the garden right to the table. I think that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
On that note, then I think we should get cooking. Are you guys ready?
Let's cook.
Awesome.
Hey,
Great. I'm going to leave it to you guys.
How are you holding up? I'm gonna ask you.
Same thing, day to day. And I still go to work every day. I'm working for a health food company down here. So we supply things to grocery stores. So we're supplying them the healthy sort of immune shots and juices and all that stuff like that. So it's it's busy, then it's not. It's just there's no telling what's happening every day from day to day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Well, actually, before we get cooking, then I was going to ask you guys, can you share with everyone sort of what your thoughts and what's happening for you guys when you think of the future, of Vedge, Fancy Radish, V Street, all of that, what's on your minds right now?
What's not?
Sure.
We from the run up, the couple weeks, days just before, we got officially shut down. I think it was March 16th. It was actually Fancy Radish's second anniversary that we fell short of meeting it by that day. I think it was March 15th that Philadelphia and DC both said no more in-house dining. And just like everyone else, he said, can we make a go of it with delivery and pickup? Sure. And it was one of those things that no, our rent and all of our overhead wouldn't really accommodate that. Plus, we were concerned. People don't know enough, and we didn't want to take any unnecessary risks. So we've basically been, focused on really trying to be connected with our staff to try to understand, let's stay in touch, let's talk, let's stay informed together. Everybody went on unemployment, and basically we're just kind of waiting. The idea for us is to pay close attention, see what we can do and when, and be ready to jump right back in. I think that was the goal from day one, was we have to be ready to reopen as soon as they say it's okay. So we've been just focusing on that, and again, taking our time to cook at home, and figuring out if this lasts longer, how can we connect with our customers? How can we continue to get our mission across, which was to get this type of food, this plant-based, vegan, whatever you want to call it, to get this food in front of as many people as we possibly can. So if we can't do it in our dining room, maybe we can do delivery, we'll see. But maybe we can do cookbooks, maybe we can do a YouTube channel. There are ways that we can keep, getting this food in front of people. So that's the goal right now.
Absolutely. And I know the world is hungry for it, and they're especially hungry for anything that the two of you put together. So I'm really excited to watch this tonight. Rich, your Instagram's been so lovely to see. You have this time to cook, you guys. And Rich's Instagram, every now and this dish pops up, I'm like drooling. I'm like, oh, it looks so good. I just want to
I actually have time to, I still don't understand Instagram, but I'm having some fun with it. And I'm just loving, falling in love with cooking again.
That's great.
It's not, it never was just work for me, but there's a lot to it when you're cooking professionally. There's a lot of back of the house administrative stuff, bills. I mean, now I'm just cooking, and I love it. I'm realizing how much I love it, and I just can't wait to come back and do it again.
Well, great. I know exactly what you're talking about, that feeling, and I'm so glad you're able to. That's a tiny silver lining in all this. You get to have that feeling again with cooking to remind you that you do have this true passion and love for it. So I know I'm grateful you're feeling that way. So let's move on then. Let's get you guys cooking, and I can't wait to see what you have. I'm excited. So take it away.
What's that?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
We're doing it.
We're good?
Nope. There we go. There's the cooked up.
Okay. All right. So we are going to do a pan-seared turnip dish. Now, this is inspired by the CSA box we just got in. I want to give a shout out to Casey from Lancaster Farm Fresh, who not only gave us a CSA box, gave and you open this produce, and it's just gorgeous, beautiful produce right at the peak. It was just picked, and I'm going through there, and I see turnips, I see green garlic, and I'm like, I want to do something from the CSA box. And I just came up with this dish because it uses a sauce that we've been doing since the Horizons days. It's basically this lemon caper parsley butter sauce, otherwise known in French cooking. I'm going to let the Frenchie tell you.
Grenobloise.
Easier
for you to say. Grenobloise. That's hard.
Grenobloise, which in French cuisine is basically lemon, parsley, and caper butter sauce. And they put it on everything. And I love, we're doing something new here. We're cooking only vegetables, and we're trying to make them really satisfying for everybody. But that doesn't mean we have to throw away everything from the past, because there's some good ideas in the past in cooking. And I like to respect that and kind of bring them into the modern day by making all plant-based versions of the sauces and maybe some of the things that they used to do back then. So that being said, we've got some purple top turnips to work with here. And what we've done, I've kind of cut these out and then I've stamped them out. Now this is fancy. You don't need to do this. You can just cook them like that. That's fine too. But if you want to stamp them out, you make a fancier dish. And then what I'm going to do is just basically score them real quick. See that? A little crisscross action, going in about a quarter of the way. I'm going to dunk these into salted boiling water back here. I'm just going to blanch them. I just want to open them up for about 2 minutes. And when they come out, they look like this. Just opened up. They're not really soft because we're going to cook them, but they're just opened up a little bit. And when we say salted water, it should taste like the sea. Okay, that's what we're really looking for here. Now, let's talk about our vegetable stock for a second. We're going to heat up our pan so we can sear these puppies up. This is a vegetable stock here. Now, we can do a whole nother show on vegetable stock at some point, but this is a stock I made just from trimming with as I was cooking here. So we have some turnip trimmings in here. You get all these like turnip ends and rings, throw them in there. I cooked some side vegetables to serve with this, some Brussels sprouts and carrots. So I have Brussels leaves in here. I have some carrots in here. A little bit of onion. I had some celery root in the fridge that was maybe a little bit kind of past its glory, so I threw some celery root in. But the one thing to keep in mind, look how little water I have in there compared to the amount of vegetables. I'm a big fan. Stock doesn't have to be this massive pot of something you're going to freeze in ice cube trays and use for weeks and months to come. Maybe stock should just be what you're cooking that night. See, that's just enough right there. So I'm gonna drain that. And this is just salt water and these vegetable trimmings. And it was only cooked for about 10 minutes. So the key here is, and there's also some green garlic in there, which gives it a beautiful flavor, and some broccoli stems. the key here is don't overcook the vegetables. Don't cook them to death. Because
Take that face in case it is open.
these vegetables here, these were sitting for a little bit. You know, about half an hour ago, they're a little bit more bright green. I would eat these. If you pull them out of your stock and you wouldn't eat them, you've cooked them too far. They're going to be bitter. You want them to be bright green. You know, the Brussels leaves here, I would eat this with olive oil and salt on it. That's when you know you have a good fresh stock. And you can see right there, it's got a beautiful color. It's a little bit milky. And it's just going to give me a beautiful flavor. And that's all I need for the night. If there's anything extra, you know, I'll maybe use it tomorrow. But here's the main key about stock that everyone's got to know. Put a spoon in there and you taste it. If you need to get that spoon right back in there and taste it again, and then you just want to drink a cup of it, you've got a great stock. And then you're ready to cook. Anything after that, you know, anything other than that, it's going to be bitter. It's going to be a little, you know, you can't fix it down the road. If you have a weak stock, you're going to have a weak sauce, and you just can't fix it. You're going to end up adding salt to it. You're going to end up adding something to it to try to cover up for that. You don't want that to happen. Okay, so a good stock is key. Don't get greedy. A little bit of water, a lot of vegetables, and you'll have a great stock. Okay, a little bit of sunflower oil in the pan here, just a little bit. We're going to season these turnip rounds here with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just a little bit. Now we're going to put salt and pepper in the sauce, so we don't do it too much here. Okay, a little salt, a little pepper. And hit them on the other side as well. Okay, a little more. All right, now we're going to sear them on the score side down first. Just like that. Now, we want some pretty high heat here. We go over this in our cookbooks a lot. If your heat's high, they're going to stick and they're going to absorb oil. Everyone thinks it's fat that makes things not stick. It's heat that makes it not stick. So if you have really, really high heat and just a little bit of oil, you're going to be fine. And you should be left over with the same amount of oil that you started with. Then you know you did it right. Okay, now look at that color there. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. Not sticking at all. Let me get a little bit longer here. But they cook up just beautifully. Okay, and you're looking about 1 to 2 minutes each side. We're going a little fast here because we're on high heat. All right, look at that. Beautiful. Now let's talk about our sauce while these are searing off here. So we got our vegetable stock ready to go. We got some really nice white wine to cook with. If you don't have white wine, by the way, use vermouth. Everyone's got vermouth, right? For your martinis, vermouth is white wine, so you can use that. We've got parsley, some capers. This is a green garlic I was telling you about. This came in with our CSA box. Green garlic, absolutely fantastic stuff. It's like a giant scallion leek, but it tastes kind of like a rampy, I don't even know what. It's like a green garlicky, scallion-y, leaky kind of thing. It's in that family, and they're just so incredible. You know, in Europe, they eat these things whole. They just grill them up or roast them, and they serve them as a salad. They're just fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful flavor. Got a little Dijon mustard. Of course, got our onion and garlic to start our sauce, and some very, very cold vegan butter. That happens to be earth balanced, but I will give a huge shout out to Miyoko, who is doing absolutely fantastic things right now. Miyoko's culture butter is stunning, amazing, but I love them all. All right, so these are pretty good right now. Okay, what I'm going to do is test them right here, and let's give them just a little bit longer. You want them to give a little bit. Just give a little bit. Okay, let's take them out. And what we're going to do, work with one pan here. We're going to clean our pan so we can make our sauce. Okay, let's start here. A little bit more neutral oil. This is sunflower oil, by the way. You can use whatever you have. Canola oil, safflower oil. Safflower oil is awesome, actually. Anything. Onions and garlic go in. Shallots are great if you have them. I know very, very few home cooks who actually keep shallots around, so onions are great. Shallots are good. If you don't have that, scallions will work, leeks will work. I want to get this a little bit toasty here. Okay, and I'm going to try to not set off the smoke alarm, which is my biggest challenge of cooking at home. It's not setting off the smoke alarm, because it's a lot different in the restaurant when you have a massive hood taking out all your smoke. Now look how brown and caramely that's getting. I know you guys have all seen this before. It's just beautiful, and it never gets old. We're going to take this off the heat for a second before we add the wine. And there's a good reason for that, because number one, wine is alcohol and it can ignite. And second of all, it's going to get really smoky once we do that. Okay? So just a little bit of white wine. Okay? Turn on the fan for just a second. Now, what we want to do, reduce this by almost half here. Add the green garlic at this point. That's almost reduced. We're going to add our stock now. So what's happening here is just that essence of the wine is going to be in there. Now see that? Just all this kind of where the garlic stuff. We call that the fond, F-O-N-D, in cooking. And what that is, those are the sticky little bits at the bottom of the pan that happen when you're cooking garlic or shallots or something like that. And what happens is, it kind of sticks and caramelizes on the bottom of the pan. When you deglaze with white wine or your stock, you bring the fond up into the sauce. So right now we've got so much flavor working in there. We're going to add a little bit of salt to the sauce. We're going to add a little bit of pepper. Now keep in mind, salt and pepper on the turnips. We don't really cook those too far. Dijon mustard, classic French ingredient here. This will add a little nice tang to the sauce, but it's also going to add some body. See how it's getting thicker already? Now again, this is pretty simple so far. This is not rocket science. We add our capers, okay? Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Now, this is where you want to start to make your adjustments. I can tell you right now, we're going to need a little bit more stock. Okay, now, here comes the fancy part. I'm going to take this off the heat. Take my vegan butter here. Use as much. I have this very cold. I'm using the back of the spoon to stir this in. I don't want to break this. You got to remember, most vegan butters are, they can break on you. You want it just nice and creamy, and that's why you got to keep it nice and cold. Even put it in the freezer. Because what's happening now is that's going to drop the temperature of the sauce so it doesn't break into oil. And look at that amazing sauce we're getting from that. I mean, this is like classic French cooking here, 101, with all plant-based ingredients. How awesome is that, right? Last minute, and you have the most incredible French butter sauce. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more stock. Again, make your adjustments. Get it where you want it to. Okay, and that is our sauce, and that's done. Okay, how beautiful is that? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All right, let's get ready to plate. Let's come on over here. Now, what I'm going to do while we're plating here, I'm going to actually put the turnips in the sauce so we can start to soak some of that up. And that's gently going to warm them up there. So you can see that. I'm just going to sit in the sauce. We're going to warm them back up. These are just some black lentils I cooked. It's not in the recipe, but they're just basic black lentils. You can put anything you want here. You can put some rice in here. And we're just going to lay these down in a little row on the plate. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to take our turnips and we'll put them right on top, just like that. With the prettiest side up. Look at that. Oh God, that's beautiful, isn't it? That just does not get old. Okay. Now I roasted some vegetables earlier as well. Okay, and some Brussels sprouts, some baby carrots. We'll kind of decorate the plate with these a little bit. Beautiful colors. All right. A few more like that. Okay. And my favorite part. Okay. You guys can start sending in your questions now because we're just about done. This is the best part when we put the sauce on top. Look at them down there. Beautiful. For the 21st century. It's 21st century, right? Yeah, okay. And you just let some of that butter on the plate like that. Okay. You can see it running out through the lens there. And for just a last minute finish, we're going to just put just a little lemon on the side here in case you want it. And we'll put a little lemon juice on it just to give it some of that spark and a tiny drizzle of oil. There you have pan-seared turnips, the caper, green garlic butter, also known as
Son of blood.
I didn't come close to that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Do some questions. Dustin, what do you think, bud?
Oh my God. Listen, I stopped watching Food Network so long ago because there was no, you've been on it, but I mean, the episodes primarily are filled with meat. And as I'm watching this, I was just like, oh my gosh, there needs to be more of this on TV immediately.
More of this.
I'm so hungry. I want to eat it all. I'm very jealous. Who's going to eat that? Rio? Does Rio get it?
Yeah. Here, I'll take this. Rio,
this is going to be the biggest problem with this new kind of normal here. Is
He's like, I'll take this. I got this.
You can learn, but you can't eat it.
Say hi, Ray. Hey, what's going on? Somebody's going to eat that.
All right. We've got some questions coming in. So. Yes. Wait, hold on. Keep holding it up. I'm going to do a screenshot here with that. If you can, one more time.
Beauty shot.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we've got some questions coming in. Would you please restate what you said about heat and preventing foods from sticking to the pan?
Yes, and this is so important. I think a lot of people associate fat with nonstick, and pans really. You know, people buy Teflon and things like that. It's really about heat. You've got to get your pan really, really hot, and this is especially important with cooking tofu and seitan for that matter. They will stick if you're not hot enough in your pan. You can have a cool pan and put all the oil in the world in it. It's going to stick if the pan's not hot enough. High heat is what prevents sticking. So important for almost anything. Beautiful.
That was from Adam Glenn. Adam Glenn, thank you so much. We had a question earlier. First of all, everyone's saying beautiful plate, beautiful plate, beautiful plate. Love watching Chef cook. Someone said they had a reservation for veg last night. They're super sad. Beautiful mise en place from Miss Fran Costigan.
Fran, what's up?
And then I had, Adam Glenn asked earlier as well, what kind of pan are you using?
You know, I'll tell you, we got these pans for our wedding, which was in 2003, 4.
Yeah.
Neither one of us can remember. It's a sign of a good marriage when you can't even remember. You know,
it was the September 5th, 04.
04. So we've had these pans for 16 years. We put them on our registry at Macy's, and I cannot remember for the life of me what brand they are because they're so cooked on at this point. But they are a stainless steel pan. Huge fan of stainless steel. But they are expensive if you don't spend the money. Aluminum's okay. I like stainless steel a lot. And if you want to get something nonstick, they're making some new ones out there these days that I want to check out a little bit, like a bamboo pan or something like that. I don't know. Listen, the key is, it's like I tell people with knives. The key is get something you can love to cook with. It really doesn't matter. You know, I don't use fancy chef knives. I don't have a bunch of crazy equipment that I paid a fortune for. I like cooking, and the equipment doesn't matter as much as, you know, just making sure that you're loving what you're doing. You know, find a good pan that you love working with. That's why, listen, we've had this pan for 16 years. I love it. That's why I still work with it.
I was gonna, hey, there's something to that too. You've had it for 16 years. I will tell you, there's a new brand called Misen. I don't know if you've heard of them, and it's this is for everyone out there. It's called Misen, M-I-S-E-N, a word we're all familiar with, but it's stainless steel. They have all sorts of stuff, and I've gotten a couple of chef's knives from them. They're really great, and I just got a set of pans. They're really great as well. So that's for everyone.
Very cool.
It's called Misen.com. Karen says Karen's iPad. Karen's iPad has a question. What do you do about the butter breaking up?
If that's kind of referring to the sauce, two things. You've got to be off the heat, and you've got to have really cold butter. You can't really finish this on the heat. That's the problem. You have to really have really cold butter and stir it in just like I did. Back of the spoon, melt it in there slowly. That's the motion you want. Don't whisk it in. That's going to create friction and more heat. Real slowly. Just real kind of sexy like that. Just really slowly melt it in there. That's the cake. But yeah, hey, listen, if you're worried about it, put it in the freezer first. And it's going to help drop the temperature of your pan. If your pan's too hot and that turns to oil, you're going to have a bit of a mess on your hand. It'll still taste good, but it's going to be a little bit oily.
Your audio just shifted a bit. I'm wondering if someone's fingers may be over the microphone or something.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little the same, but we can still hear you enough. So maybe it's just me. We'll keep rolling along. We have a request for Kate to do a beignet next. So just putting that in your world.
Yeah,
Oh, and then another request, chef. Another request, so it's not just me. The rutabaga fondue is being requested, okay?
Rutabaga fondue, that sounds intriguing. We'll do that, yeah.
Never heard of such a thing.
We have to find a home-friendly version of that one and try to get that into the cookbook.
Sure.
Our CDC Andrew at Vedge, he's the fondue whisperer. You know, we've been like fine-tuning that thing for years. How to get into the home kitchen? We'll figure it out. We got time.
I was like, I got when I first got this book, I was like, all right, rutabaga fondue. Oh, and then I was like, but I got it. I totally got it. Just so everyone knows out there, I'll be bugging them for this for years. So don't you worry. A non-alcoholic white wine substitute, Pepper is asking.
Yeah, you can use any kind of non-alcoholic white wine. It is the essence of the grape we're looking for. That's why we cook out the alcohol in the first place. You don't want alcohol in your food. It's very, very, very bitter, very stringent. So yeah, you want the essence of the grape, and that will do just fine. Now, if you don't have a non-alcoholic white wine and you don't even want to bother with it for the tablespoon this recipe calls for, I'll give you another little hint here. Sherry vinegar. Tiny, tiny touch. I mean, if the recipe calls for a tablespoon of white wine, you want like a quarter teaspoon of sherry vinegar. Get it in there, let it evaporate, and then get your stock in. And honestly, you don't even really need it at all if you don't want to use it. Just go with the stock and add a little bit of lemon juice in the end to get that kind of acidity. It will brighten it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We got, let's see here. You guys, you're getting a master class. I hope you're writing this stuff down. Wealth of information. We have another, what type of pan? So you said previously stainless steel. You're going with the stainless steel pans. And from Bryn Burnham, would you recommend grapeseed oil?
I love grapeseed oil. Really high smoke point. Good stuff. It's very durable. And I'll tell you what, a lot of, I hear a lot of chefs recommend this for great high heat cooking, and it's spectacular for that. Great salad dressing too. It's got a very faint flavor to it. That works beautifully in salad dressings. My go-to dressing is 4 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. If you like really punchy salads, you can go 3 to 1 fat to acid. But I'm a huge fan of the good olive oil. And but if you really want to use grapeseed oil in your salad, go half olive oil, half grapeseed oil, and then that one part to sherry vinegar, and you'll have a fantastic salad dressing. Yeah, grapeseed's great.
I really do hope you guys are writing this down. Now I'm going to ask this verbatim here. So are turnips like Brussels sprouts cooked properly? They are not horrible childhood memories, says Deborah Geary.
I think I should be a food psychologist in my next life. I was just telling someone this the other day with Brussels
aren't
sprouts.
you kind of really though?
I guess so, but I know people that have been through like tragic life-altering events and they've gotten over it. And yet you bring up Brussels sprouts to them and they their face turns white. I mean, they're petrified of this one time their parents cooked it and it came from a can or something. So we'll get rid of those scars. Listen, I think if you treat any vegetable with love and you cook it properly and you listen to it, my whole thing is you got to listen to your vegetables. They'll tell you how to cook them. Brussels sprouts should never be in a can, and they honestly should never be frozen, and they should never be overcooked. They should be bright green when you eat them. They shouldn't really have a crunch. I know some vegetables are best fresh and crunchy. They should have a beautiful kind of almost silky chew to them, and they should be caramelized. You can see right here they got a little caramelization on them. Whether it's in the oven, and you should get a little on them, and then they'll be your friend again, and you'll forget about those childhood memories. But turnips, turnips are a little trickier. I think they're harder to love. It's even the freshest turnips, when you cut them open, this one's dried out a bit, but if I can show you, you're looking for, let's see if we can cut this one open and give you a little demo here. Okay, you see that? See how that's kind of wet there? See those beads of water? That's a fresh vegetable. Okay, fresh vegetables, they're so much easier to work with. They're going to work for you. If you get a really dry turnip that's stringy and astringent and it's got fibers in it, you can't bring them back. There's no way to really cook them. I mean, you can puree them into a soup if you wanted to, but you got to buy really good fresh vegetables if you really want to make them your friend. Let them work for you.
I also love that you say, listen to your vegetables. I loved when you said about the stock. It's like, if you dip the spoon in and you want to take a second bite, then you're good to go. That's a good stock.
Yeah.
That makes logic. Imagine that. That makes all the sense in the world. So you're listening to it,
I should make a disclaimer here that if your vegetables start talking to you in your sleep, that's a problem.
I was like, maybe we are going to a stranger out here. I'm like, hold on, people. Hold on. Now, someone's asking if they don't have turnips. This is Joyce Rosenblum. If she doesn't have turnips, what would you recommend using in its place?
Joyce, good question. Celery root works. Rutabaga could work, but I would blanch it longer. Potatoes will work. Radishes, big daikon radishes will work. The key here is buying things that are really, really fresh. If you want to go to the supermarket, which is really scary right now, but if you go anyway and you find turnips that are all shriveled up and dry, don't use them. Find beautiful celery root. Find, you can do this with tofu too, and you just have to have something really, really fresh. You have to be prepared to adapt with what the farm or the garden or the supermarket is going to give you.
I love that. That's great. We've got Adam Glenn says his wife Judy and they love you guys. I want you to get all the love from these comments as well. You're getting a lot of love here today.
Love you guys.
Jay Reeves asked, we already talked about the substitute for the wine, but he's asking, or he or she or they is asking what brand or type of white wine you use this evening.
Do you want to take that, Kate?
Sure.
Here, hang on. The sommelier is in the house.
Yay, but it's not cool, so I'm not going to drink it. Muscadet, Sauvignon Mansurly. So this is, oh my goodness, now you're testing me. I know this. I know, but no, this is, I tried to pick a French wine. We're kind of limited in what we have at home, but different region. This is the Atlantic coast. This is typically consumed with all kinds of Atlantic fare that you would find. Really refreshing, light and crisp. What we were going for was just the acidity, because the dish is rich, the sauce is rich, and we have a lot of bursts of salt from the capers and a lot of acid from the fresh lemon. So the idea here was just to add another high note. So yeah, I would pick any kind of crisp, acidic, mineral-driven white wine. The only thing I wouldn't do would be put in a super oaky Chardonnay, because that might add a little bit of sweetness, and you don't want that in the wine. Or maybe something like a super delicate Riesling that would just go to waste. So something that has a little bit of structure, a little bit of acid would be ideal.
Now, this question is coming from me as I'm sitting here watching the two of you talk. And I can't believe I've never asked this before. When it comes to creating between the two of, you're at home right now cooking, but when you do stuff for the restaurant, whichever, is there does one person stay in one lane and the other person stays in the other? Or you're like, honey, I'm making this dish. What kind of wine should I put with this? Is it always a collaboration, or is there a rhythm to your madness, or is it just do it as it comes?
Just it makes it sound a little bit too fancy. No, we just kind of do it as it comes. We wing it. You know, we say, what are we feeling tonight? You want to do Mexican? Want to do Moroccan? Want to do Indian? And then we start cooking, and then we'll pick up the wine, and we'll just have fun with it. You know, it's yeah, we're just rolling with it.
I think we do usually little. Like I'll usually do like cocktails or wine, and maybe like Rio will help me out and we'll make bread, and then maybe we'll do dessert. We've been doing a lot of baking. But yeah, Rich is like, he gets in the kitchen and you can see he just is so fast and just tears through things, and all of a sudden like 10 minutes later there's this like 6-course meal happening, and I'm like, where'd that come from? So you do, yeah. And I try to help out.
You sit back and enjoy that wine then, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a piece of bread, some wine, and then kick it up when it's your turn. Because you're both brilliant.
Oh, stop. You're brilliant, man.
Hey,
you've been successful. We're so proud of you. You know, I remember when you first called us up, we get a lot of calls like, you know, your initial call to us like, hey, I'm doing this thing and I want to film in your kitchen. And I'm like, the vegan roadie? What? Oh my God, let's just do this. Come on, we'll throw the guy on here. And look at you now, man. This is amazing. Like I told you at the expo last fall, I mean, your success is just phenomenal. It's just so amazing to watch it. And you earned it, every little bit of it.
Well, it's so it's really thanks to people like you actually letting me in their kitchen in the very beginning. Very grateful for that. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, our pleasure. You know. Hey, just don't forget us someday when you get to.
Oh, please. We've got Lori DiGirolamo. I did not say that right.
Oh, hey, Lori, what's up?
She's saying, how do you say the last name?
DiGirolamo?
Right?
Yeah. Are you on?
Fantastic.
Hi, how are you? Hi.
Says, what about the cheesecake, please? So I don't know what that means, but she's saying she wants cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
We all want cheesecake.
Yeah.
You guys have one that you usually do?
Sorry?
Do you have one that you usually do?
A cheesecake?
Yeah.
Yes, but I think she knows that it's like a secret recipe, and I don't.
There
We tried.
Deborah Gary was saying Brussels sprouts are actually her friend now, so there we go. Now, asking, does Dan Zankman is asking if Rio ever cooks for you guys?
Oh. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. That's my cousin. My cousin from the South. He's actually near you guys. He's,
amazing.
Where are you, Dan? Greensboro, South Carolina, something like that.
Oh,
yeah, Rio, we'll cook a little bit. He has some fun with it. We don't push him too hard. You know, we're just so thrilled.
It's almost done. No, it's almost done. It's the chefs from Vedge are doing a Zoom.
Oh, we gotta.
there we
still
go.
hear Lori.
I think I got it. There we go. Okay. Someone said they had your saved Brussels sprouts with stone ground mustard every week during quarantine, and they're so delicious. I love that. I've had those too. Are those in the veg book? I know I've had them.
What's that? The recipe we did tonight?
The Brussels sprouts and the stone ground mustard.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. That's in the veg cookbook. We opened veg with that dish. That has been on the menu from day one. You know, and I'll tell you a secret here. I did not like Brussels sprouts either. I was very much scarred by them. My mom used to get them in a can, and she boiled them in the water they came in with a little salt, and it's disgusting. I mean, let's be honest here. You know, you just can't love vegetables like that. It's not my mom's fault. It's the way everyone did it back then.
Sure.
But when I really looked at them again, it's like listening to the vegetables. Let them talk to you. And when I really got these beautiful fresh Brussels sprouts in, I'm like, this is like a little baby head of cabbage here. Let's make like a kind of a warm coleslaw out of it, or something. Let's use it like a little cabbage. And so we shaved them real thin, and we pan fried them up, and a little salt and pepper, and they caramelized beautifully. And that dish, I mean, I still to this day eat it all the time, and it just never gets old for me. So I love Brussels sprouts now. I love tofu now. I never used to like tofu, but you gotta just can't do what was done in the 70s and 80s.
Sure. Well, and I like to tell people too, you know, like just if you try something one way and you're like, oh, that's terrible, don't completely wipe it off the, you know, like go back to it again and again and keep trying different things. I, for one, do not like eggplant. can't stand it. But I now have had it a couple different ways where I'm like, oh, this is delicious. But it's taken me a long time to get there, let me tell you.
That's another tricky one, man. I mean, most people only know like eggplant parm, vegan or not. I mean, it's like, it's deep fried and breaded. You can deep fry and bread anything and have it taste good.
Deep fried shoelace, it's delicious.
But once you really start cooking with eggplant, that's when freshness really, really matters. Eggplant, you should be able to almost see your reflection in the skin of eggplant. Like a beautiful purple skin, you should see light bouncing off of it. Any scars or, any kind of dryness or blemishes. And if you cut that thing open and you see any brown in there, it's really, you can make like caponata or baba ganoush out of it maybe, but if you want really good eggplant, it's got to be bright white inside. And again, look for that fresh beating water on there. There's little beads of water. That tells you the vegetable's at its peak and it's beautiful and it's going to really, really treat you well.
I love that. I would have never known that either about eggplant. A lot of people are saying this is wonderful and thank you for doing it. And we've got one person, Robin Ann Stokes, that said this is so fantastic to see your personalities because, going to the restaurants, they don't always get to see you. So it's nice to see you talk and cook and they're very happy to see you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We've got some time right now.
Right. And we've got one person, and I guess we'll start to close it up on this. They're sort of asking, so maybe and a mahalo from Maui as well. We've got one person asking, and this will take us just to refresh everyone if you weren't here in the beginning. They're sort of asking about, will there be curbside pickup at V Street? So maybe we can just briefly say again what you're doing right now and you're thinking about the future and how you're managing and dealing right now.
That's a great question. We talk about it every single day. We have been in touch with our staff to see who is eager to get back to work and who has been enjoying the downtime. I think the key for us is to strike a balance where we feel comfortable and safe going in and receiving different vegetables and then working on what we can realistically commit to, a delicious menu, whether it's like a picnic basket or if it's like a small list of a la carte items, trying to figure out what we can do from the restaurants that is what people want right now. Is it very similar to what we've done in the past, or is it like the same sort of flavors but packaged better for eating at home? I mean, the dishes that we do at Vedge are not necessarily translated into a takeout box.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit more at V Street and at Fancy a little bit. But basically, we've taken that time to kind of come up with some ideas. And I guess now it's sort of like, okay, what would the demand look like and how can we pull it off? The people, whether it's just Rich and me, kind of rolling up our sleeves and taking care of it by ourselves. Do we need more people? And then also, what would the mechanism be to keep our customers safe? So we're getting close. I mean, the longer we see ahead of us that we're not going to be getting back to normal, we have to start thinking about how do we ease back into it. So we're kind of antsy. I think we're almost at that point.
Do something. We're not sure what it will look like yet, but the most important thing for us always is just to do it right. We live on a street with a lot of people, and I swear to God, it's like caviar central here. All these people resort delivery all the time. So I ask them, what they get and who they're getting it from and what they're doing. And a lot of people are saying, the fancy food doesn't translate into takeout containers. Sure. It's not what they want to eat right now. People want comfort food right now. They want a fair amount of value. It's funny because there's a lot of people out of work right now that we really want to feed. There's also a lot of people staying home, collecting their full paychecks with nowhere to spend their money.
Right.
So who's your audience and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot to think about, but we will do something. I can't tell you when, but we'll do something.
We've also heard that a lot of people are having trouble getting certain things like that a vegan would really need, like tofu and chickpeas and lentils. So if that's the case, if we can actually be a bridge for people to get access to more plant-based foods, like the last thing we want to do is see all the hard work we did to get plant-based food accessible diminished. We want to keep it. Philly has been known for being so accessible for plant-based diners and the whole country. I mean, we really want to make sure that doesn't change.
Yeah, for sure. I thought about that. Part of the experience, at least to me at Vedge, is the plating of it. These gorgeous plates come to the table, and I just thought, of course, like I would be happy to eat any of it in a takeout container, but at the same time, part of it to me is having the experience at that restaurant in particular to me is coming in, saying I have a reservation, going to your table. I had a, I think it was just a special, but I had a horseradish ice cream at your restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Or is it special?
Well, that's true. You eat with your eyes first. We say that. It used to always be true. And then when people started taking pictures of everything they ate for Instagram, it was even more important that every plate was perfect. And I think that, what we've been learning by talking to our friends, our family, and just ourselves, what people want to eat at home right now is like, you don't necessarily need the fanciest thing in the world. You want delicious flavor. You want something that's just like, soul food. And I think that's kind of the direction that we would go in the interim until we can get back to that place where it will be elegant and celebratory. So we're kind of figuring out where we need to land.
Yeah, that's great. Well, guys, this has really been amazing. I'm so grateful. I mean, what a treat. Just really brought some light into my week for sure. And I know everyone here appreciates it very, very much. Yeah, of course. Maybe we can do it. Yeah, I wish that I could eat everything that you made right now is my only issue that I've got with it. Now I've got to get in the kitchen and pretend that I'm Rich Landau. It doesn't come off that. I want to remind everyone. What's that?
That sauce is just great on anything. That sauce is amazing on tofu. My favorite dish is tofu and seared with that sauce, mashed potatoes and grains.
And look how easily it came together. That's the most impressive part. You guys served this amazing dish and it came together so easily.
That sauce is great. Yeah, it works with anything.
I want to remind everyone that you can tip Rich and Kate by going for their wonderful service tonight if you feel the means to do so, or if you have money burning a hole in your pocket from collecting a paycheck and not being able to spend it, you can certainly tip them by going to the link that is in the chat area right now. A lot of restaurants are surviving on gift certificate purchases. So if you aren't in Philly and you aren't in DC, either purchase one and give it to a friend who's in those places, or put donation down in the note, or do your part in your community and pick your favorite local restaurant tonight and go online and buy a gift certificate from them and support locally as well. Either way, we'd be grateful for the contribution if you have the means to do so in whatever way you see fit. You guys, before we close out, anything to tell us before we go?
No, this is, I'll tell you what, we're all, I think I'm impressed at everyone's resiliency and everyone's spirit. This is a messed up thing we're going through. I mean, history is just going to judge this in such a crazy way, but I think we're going to come through, as our own heroes with all this. We're going to be telling our grandchildren about this someday. They're going to be like, oh, you lived through the coronavirus? And this is really messed up, and it's scary too. I just want everyone to be safe. Always better safe than sorry.
And
it's not that long.
Take the time to really, it's a pause and in some cases a reset. So we've been talking a lot just about trying to make the most out of the time. It doesn't mean that you have to all go start making sourdough, and but even just mentally taking a little bit of time to think about, the meaning that you're trying to have in your life and the kind of person that you want to be, and being kind to each other.
Yeah, I love that. And so true. You guys, this has been a delight. I would love to do it again. Thank you so much. Maybe you've got tricks on.
Thanks, Dustin, man.
All right. Have a great night, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I think I'm going to try and get this up on the Vegan Roadie YouTube channel for you if you want to see it. Until next time, you guys, keep on cooking. And remember, it's nice to be nice.